Is that light messing up?
Oh, you look stellar, sir, and welcome to the Underdog Talk, the world's most underrated podcast on earth. And there's just something about the Underdog, ladies and gentlemen. But today, I mean, we have a very special guest hailing from Columbia, Kentucky. Hey, I'm from Columbia, Maryland, so we're basically the same place.
Same thing, man. Same thing.
Same place, just a little south. This gentleman is a man of many talents, United States Marine, Medal of Honor recipient, a father, a firefighter. Should I stop there, ladies and gentlemen? I'm also going to add CEO, founder of Own the Dash and Dash Hydrate. I mean, I might as well just end the podcast now, sir. I mean, kind of gave everything you have right now, but just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Mr. Dakota Meyer. How are you doing, sir? Good morning as well. And I don't know how you're doing on this snowy day, but in the East Coast, we got a lot of snow. I don't know if I don't want to outdate this podcast, but, we got our fair share of snow. Did you guys get any over there?
So we were supposed to. Like, I'm in Austin, Texas, and so, we were supposed to, but we didn't get much snow. But it's, I ran this morning. It was about 18 degrees. Got in 8.5 this morning with, my team. And yeah, so it's still cold, right? And cold's cold.
Damn right. Cold's cold is right. And as I kind of gave it away, you are the man behind Own the Dash. How did Own the Dash come to be? Obviously, you have a very extensive history in the military, and I found it very interesting, the motto of Own the Dash, kind of what it means. But how did Own the Dash come to be, sir?
Yeah, look, I think all of us, we go through our lives and I don't want to say figure it out, but trying to find our purpose and like what life means to you. And I think all of us, we start to find our purpose and we know what fulfills us, or maybe we can't identify it. But then, after you figure out what it is, then you have to be able to articulate it, right? Because the only way that you take your ideas from being in your head and then you turn them into reality is being able to communicate and articulate and clearly formulate all these ways to do it, right? It's like a artist who has to take the picture that they have in their mind and look, then they have to hone in on their skill level to be able to paint that on a canvas for other people to be able to interpret that and see what's in their mind. And so, Own the Dash for me, my whole life, whether I knew it or not, I was serving others, right? I grew up on a farm, and, on a farm, it's by far the most selfless job, I think, in America, in the world, right? And the animals come first, right? Because your livelihood depends on those animals. And, there is no day off when it comes to having a farm. The animals eat first. They are your priority because they are relying on you and all these things. So growing up, like that was a way of life. And then, I go to the military and I'm serving others, and, you're out there taking care of each other and you're taking care of your guys. And, it's just you're fighting for good and all these things. And so then I get out and, over and over, hard stuff happens. Right. And, the thing that the military really taught me the most and I don't want to say taught me the most, but it definitely showed me firsthand that in a real life experiences is just how fast life can go. And, a lot of people get down because of that, right? Like when you say the word death or you say the word, you talk about these times and people, they want to stray away from it. It's almost like the birds and the bees with your kids, right? Like, you don't want to face it. And the reality is I had to face death a lot of times at a very young age. And instead of going around and being down about it and, negative and all this, death is also a beautiful thing, right? Like, it's not always a bad thing. There are worse things than dying. And so to wrap all of it up, trying to I want to change the world. And the only way you change the world is by making the most of your life. And so I read this poem one time by Linda Ellis, and it's called The Dash. And she says, I'll read it to you because it's a very, I always slaughter it whenever I whenever I bring it up, but it's the dash poem, right? And so Linda Ellis wrote this poem, and it really hit home to me at a place that I was at. She said, I read it of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what matters most of all was that dash between those years. For the dash represents all the time that you spent alive on earth. And now only those who love them know what that little dash, that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. And so, you know, it really made, you know, our last living legacy, you know, when we die, it's a tombstone or something that has our last name on it. Yeah. And then it's got, you know, your birthday, and then it's got the day you die. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Teddy, it's kind of crazy I want you to start listening to people after this podcast. They spend their whole life celebrating their birthdays, and they spend their whole life fearing death. And how many people don't live their life to the fullest because of they're scared of that last one, right? And so, and guess what? You know what the only 2 days on earth that aren't 24 hours for you?
First and last.
First and last. They're the two dates. And guess who? You don't have any role in when you're born?
Nope.
And guess what you don't have any role in?
When you die.
When you die. But we spend our whole lives worried about those 2 dates, all the way to the point to where they're put on your tombstone. And it's like, what matters is you can't decide how long that dash is, but you can decide what it looks like. I don't care where you're at. I don't care where you were born into. I don't care what social, economical status you're in. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what God you pray to. Everybody on the face of the planet has the ability to make the world a better place within that line, right? And I always look at it like this, and whether it's morbid or not, the true representation of how people did in life is going to be what people say when you die.
Yes.
And guess who's writing that eulogy? You are.
Yep.
And nobody gets up there and talks about how many cars you got, how much money you have. Nobody talks about that. They talk about the things that you did for them in the most impactful moments that they remember from you. And so with Own the Dash, it's about, man, quit worrying about when you were born and quit worrying about when you're going to die and just live life. Own the dash. The dash is your life, right? So it's own your life and make the most out of it, right? Like no matter where you're at, it's about people. Life is about people.
And Dakota, life is too short to worry about the little things. I think I've learned that, and I think you can definitely relate to that. I mean, you only get one life. You got to live it to the fullest. And every day I wake up is a blessing. And I've been starting to realize that every day is a blessing and to make the most out of it. Now, what motivated you to transition from military service to, advocacy, public speaking, and being an entrepreneur and all this other stuff after, your service in the military?
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I didn't want to do any of that. I mean, I spent my entire Marine Corps, the time I was in the Marine Corps, I was a sniper. I was trying not to be seen, right? I mean, literally trying not to be known. That was my job. And, I get out, I get awarded a Medal of Honor and put on a public platform, literally for the worst day of my life, for the absolute biggest loss of life. All my team died. And And now I have to, and I failed that day, and I had to live in the face of the nation with the biggest failure of my life. Like, it's just broadcasted across the world, right? So then there's that. So you can't hide from it. How many of us are running around trying to hide from our worst moments, right? And so mine's platforms splatter all over the world, right? And then then you're kind of put of you have this opportunity, and it's like, do you want to waste it, or do you want to try to make a difference? And that was where I really learned that, look, the bad shit that happens to us in life, it means nothing if we can't turn it into good to help others. The worse the situation is for you, it's just the more people you have the ability to now help. You have the obligation to first get through it yourself. To you have to get through it. You have to figure out and learn from it, right? You got to look in the mirror, and you got to go through those hard moments. You can't avoid the hard moments. If you want to be impactful and you want to make a difference, and you want to be you want to be able to impact and help a lot of people, you have to go through the suffering so that you understand how to help other people get through their suffering. And so that was where I learned it, right? Is like, man, does it suck? Do I miss my teammates? Of course I do. Of course I do. But what good are the lessons that I learned in those hard moments? What good are they if I don't go out and try to influence and impact other people who are suffering, right? And to try to give people hope. Look, I wake up every day with the best day of my life. I wake up every single day, and man, I'm not saying I don't have bad moments, right? Like, I do have bad moments, right? Like, there's shitty times, there's shitty hours, there's shitty phone calls, there's, like the same struggles that you go through, or anybody else listening to this goes through, I go through. But I'll tell you this, I don't have a bad day, because if you're going to have bad moments, and you can't decide whether that happens or not. But I don't have bad days because I don't allow to have a bad day. I'm not going to waste more or give more time or attention to something that's not good over if I can find something that's good, right? Like that's the reality. And so for me, man, like, if I can do it, and that's what I want to show people, is if Dakota Meyer can do it, if I can do it, you can 100% do it. I'm like, if I can do it, if I can get up every day and I can go live a great life, and I can be happy, and I can find good in everything, then everybody else can too.
And on the way to the studio, my check engine light came on.
Yeah.
And kind of thinking about it, that's a bad moment. Now, do I create a bad day out of that? No, sir, because that is just a small little moment. And ultimately, I still have 14 hours on before I go to sleep. I need to make the most of this day, not just have that bad moment. And that mindset you preach really got me thinking about how to be more positive in the light of a stupid fucking check engine light. How can I have moments still that I have to have today that are going to be good, and not just have a bad moment create a bad day? And I love that. And I know millions have told you thank you for your service, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service. And all those who are listening, thank you for your service. Now, someone who's never been in the military, I'm just a civilian, I'm very interested to know this answer. How do you believe civilians like me can better support, understand veterans, those who are in the military? I mean, I always feel like it's just not enough to say thank you for your service. How can I help give back to veterans and those serving Dakota?
Teddy, you owe me nothing. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you what I am. I'm a civilian. Guess what? I'm going to be a civilian. I was a civilian when I served the military. I was a civilian that served my country, right? I'm a civilian. Me and you, we got more in common than we don't. You did your part. You pay your taxes, right?
Yep.
Man, I had the opportunity to serve the United States of America. I got to wear the nation's cloth, Teddy. I got to go represent incredible human beings like you. Let me tell you what, if anything, you don't owe me anything. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people that believe in you. You owe it to the listeners here, not just me as a veteran. Like, listen, man, look, I got to do that. I got paid every single day I did it. I got to serve in the greatest institution on the face of the planet, man. So if anything, I owe you. I owe you that I got to do that, to come back and to put into people like you, to give you my time, to answer questions, to kind of tell you what it's like. But as far as like us owing each other, like I hate the mentality that America owes people like me. I hate it. I hate it because a good dude like you, it makes you feel, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I served, so but it kind of makes you feel like you're inferior to us, right? And it's just not the case, man. Like, let me tell you what you owe it to America and to the men and women who gave their lives for this country, the exact same thing that I owe them. And you want to know what it is? To live a life that's worthy of the sacrifices of the men and women and the families that have given everything on behalf of this country. And it's not just veterans. It's not just veterans. It is first responders. It is anybody who stands up for other people and willing to give their life, or who had to give their life, the ultimate sacrifice on the behalf of good. And that's it. It's that simple, And so, you doing this podcast, honestly, man, like what you owe those guys is, in reality, that check engine light, man. Yeah, you know what? That might be the worst part of your day, but it could always be worse, right? And guess what? Did your car get you to the podcast studio?
Damn right.
Listen, man, that's an inconvenience. You ain't got a problem.
Wow. And yeah, I mean, I everything you said, just I could feel the energy coming from you. Just the energy, man. It's so strong in you, Dakota. And I don't normally say that at all, but I mean, I'm just grateful to be able to talk to you and hear your wisdom. Now, a few people wanted to know from you, they're looking to get into the military like you once were. What advice would you give to someone or individuals considering a career in the military?
Have at it, man. Go. Raise your right hand. Go serve. Don't let all this bullshit that these people are feeding out there right now, talking about the military and all this. Don't read into it, right? Like, guess what people were saying when I joined?
What?
I mean, the Vietnam veterans, do you think they were encouraging people to go join the military? Fuck no. Nobody was, right? And so, don't get wrapped up in, the guys that joined and that want to be thanked for their service, but then talk shit about service. Like, you know what I mean? It's incredible when I hear, and I think it's one of the most detrimental things. I hear veterans out there talking trash about the military, and it's such a nearsighted thought process. They want to be thanked for their service. They want to be held in a higher honor because they serve, but they want to tell other people that not to serve. Like, how stupid is that? It wasn't perfect when I was in, right? When Obama got elected, George W. Bush, I mean, no matter what, Clinton, I mean, people were always, just going above and beyond and just talking about, I wouldn't join these days, right? But if that was the mentality forever, we'd have a big problem, right? It's important. We still live in the greatest country on the face of the planet. And if you don't believe that, you're the dumbass for staying here.
Yeah.
Listen, Mexico ain't putting a border up to keep us out. Go move somewhere else. I hear so many people talking. Look, you should live where you believe is the best place on the face of the planet. You should raise your kids. You should take your family. If it's such a bad place, leave. You know what I mean? Like, leave. But we live in the greatest country on the face of the planet, and everybody knows that. And, you know, we've got to have good people that still believe in this idea of democracy, defending it. We have to, right? You know, get out of the politics, get out of the reasoning why, get out of these other things. And I'm not saying don't look at them, but the idea of what we stand for and what we represent across the globe, we have to sustain that. You know, when America is strong, the world hates us. When America is weak, the world suffers. And, you know, so anybody who's looking to join, right? Is there issues in the military? 100%. Growing issues, right? Look, these issues that the military is facing right now, they're growing issues. They are, you know, we've got to get faster, stronger, smarter, do things better. Like we have to evolve, right? And so, you know, when there's change, people don't, especially the people that serve in the military, especially those types of people, they don't like change, right? And if you notice a lot of them, you know, they'll bitch about not having money, but if you gave them $1 million, then they'd bitch about paying taxes on it, right? So like, no matter what you're going to do, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying that like, they don't like how things are, but they don't want to change, and they don't like how the change is, right? So what I'm saying is don't let, this is all static. If you believe in democracy, you believe in good, and you believe in this country, and you want to serve, you have the heart to serve others.
Yes.
You should do it.
Right.
And there is no greater calling. And look, you don't have to serve in the military. Go be a first responder. Go be a police officer.
Yeah.
Go be a firefighter. Go be EMS. You know, go do something. You know, if you have the ability, I heard this the other day and it really just struck me to a core. If you have the ability to help others, you must. Because not everybody has the ability to help others.
Damn. That hits deep, because if you truly can help someone, help them. And ultimately, at the end of the day, this is the greatest country on earth, and I don't think there's even a close second.
No, there's not.
There's not. And anyone who, you know, wants to comment in the little chat box that there is, you know, have at it. But this is the greatest country on earth because of people like you, sir, and because of people like who have served this great country. Now, my last two questions are Underdog Talk staples, sir. First one, what is your biggest underdog moment in your life where everything was stacked against you, where nothing seemed to be going your way, but you survived, you conquered, and you ultimately beat the status quo?
Yeah, I mean, man, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't look at life that way anymore, right? What I'll tell you is, I mean, look, obviously, I was stacked against the odds. When I lost my team that day, I've been in gunfights, stacked against the odds. But I think that, like, you know, when you say stacked against the odds, or you're the underdog, you kind of look, man, at the end of the day, we're all underdogs to life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's, if you're not the underdog in the fight, then you're not trying to grow to a big enough place. Right? The only time you're not the underdog is when you're comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're the top dog, well, you're running in the wrong circle. You ain't growing when you're the top dog. So I think that people who find themselves in the underdog, how I see the underdog, because look, there's two ways to look at it. If you look at yourself as the underdog, you're looking at yourself the victim. But if you purposefully put yourself in to be the underdog, it means you've got the most to learn. You've got people around you, and you're in situations that you're growing no matter which way you're going, right? If you aren't the underdog in the majority of the rooms that you walk into, and with your circle, the top 5 people that you spend the most time with, if you're not the underdog with them, you're not getting better. You're not getting better. There's not as many opportunities to learn, right? I want to be the underdog. I'll tell you right now, I went and ran this morning. My team that I'm around, my team that works, I work for them. My team, all of them, if you listen, I'm the easiest person to beat in my team. I'm the easiest person. Look, if you can't beat me, you don't even want to show up to the start line with the people that I spend majority of my time with, because they beat me every single day. And I'm the underdog. And so that's why I loved your podcast, man. Like, that's why I love the name of it. But like, the underdog, people say underdog and they go, I'm just the underdog. I'm not, I was the weakest one there or whatever. It's like, fuck, that's good. That's good. Because if you're weak, you're going to get stronger and you're going to max up. Like, the underdog doesn't mean that life was against you, or you're the victim, or you're the victim of circumstances. The underdog means that you got so much opportunity to grow and to get better. And you better always be the underdog, man. You better always be the underdog. And, for me, like, statistically, if you look at how I grew up, where I grew up, socially, economically, you look at my military path, you look at all these things, statistically, I shouldn't be where I'm at. Statistically, I shouldn't be where I'm at. But what I'll tell you is being the underdog long enough builds resiliency. And resiliency is the key to everything. The longer you can hold in these uncomfortable moments, the longer you can sustain and stay in them, the longer you can learn about yourself and the further you grow, right? Like think about that, right? Like resiliency is the key to growth, because growth isn't comfortable. And the longer you can hold in those moments, the more you learn about yourself and the more you grow physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? The further you can push into these things, the longer you can last in the underdog fight, the more you grow and the longer you sustain and the more you prove to yourself. It builds confidence. It builds confidence, man. Look, you go out and run a marathon, man, the longer you can stay uncomfortable, yeah, it sucks. And yeah, you hurt at the end of it, but man, you ever seen anybody run a marathon and they're not proud of themselves?
No.
No.
No, sir.
No, it's not, right? Look at any of it. Look at the gym. You ever gone to the gym and and regretted that you went?
No, sir.
It's the same. That's what it's about, man. Resiliency. How long can you stay uncomfortable? Because it's only in those uncomfortable moments. How often can you get uncomfortable? The more uncomfortable you can get, the more often you do that, the more growth you have, right? And so, I wish I could come up with an underdog like one, but man, I wake up every single day. I'm getting ready. Listen, I'm 35 years old, and I'm getting ready to, for the first time in my life, run an Ironman. And like, do I know anything about it? Man, I don't know shit about it. I didn't know anything about it before. I mean, I didn't even know what kind of bike I needed. And but what I'll tell you is I learned so much every ride I go on, every run I go on. The more uncomfortable, and why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Because it's uncomfortable, right? I think us as human beings, what happens is we let society, society has a standard and kind of comments that they have at you, right? Like, oh, you deserve self-care. You deserve a break. You take a day off. You're overtraining, all these things. And man, that's only at the expense of you. It's only at the expense of you, right? And society standard, if you live by society standard, you're going to have a D level life. D is passing. Yeah. D is passing. The standard for school was D because that's passing, right? Like that's the standard. That's the lowest level of competency that they have. But it's your choice to be an A+ student. It's your choice to strive for that. And that's your standards. That's not society's standards. Yeah. You want to be a D-class citizen? Have at it. You want to live a D-class life? Have at it. And I think so many times, man, we get told that, like, I don't know. I see so many people, I feel terrible that they set their swords down, right? I call it your sword. Yeah. And it's like once do I miss playing football? Absolutely. Do I miss being a Marine? Absolutely. But I have to create my own challenges now to make sure I don't put my sword down, to make sure I'm sharpening that thing, right? It's not me. When you figure out the key to life is two things. Is number one, the most valuable thing you have is time. And when you figure that out, you will decide who you spend time with, right? So I tell people when it comes to time, and I'm probably ranting on more than you wanted me to, but when it comes to time, if I looked at you, you look at the people you spend the majority of time with, right? And if I looked at you, man, I said, and Teddy, every time you came to me, you handed me $5. You were investing your $5. And I was like, hey, man, I'm going to make sure that you get every $5 you give me, I'm going to give you 10 back. And you just came and invested in me, right? And you kept giving me $5. And every time you asked for money back, I only gave you $2 back. Would you keep giving me money?
No.
You wouldn't, right?
No.
So if you go and you spend time with people and you hang around people and all they're doing is wasting your time, why do you keep spending time with them? If they're not helping you get to your goals and they're not part of that plan and they're not trying to get better and they're not sharpening you some way, why do you keep spending time? Why do we spend time with people that take away our peace and take away and distract us from getting better? We only get worse, right? That's one piece. That's time. And then the second piece is when you figure out you're not against anybody else, it's only you against you. You're not competing with anybody else. Other people might think they're competing with you. That's fine. But you're not. You're competing with yourself. And so when I go and I try to find these things, I try to always be doing something, training for something, doing something that's uncomfortable. And when you stop doing that, and it always has to be changing. Because look, man, if you go and you run 5 miles every day and 5 miles becomes easy, well, now you've gotten comfortable.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm always changing it up to the shit I don't like. When I find something in my mind that I hate doing and I catch myself hesitating to go do, then that's what I sign up for. And so, because that tells me where my weakness is, right? And you got to keep that sword sharp. And how long do you keep doing it? I don't know. I think that's up to you. But I think that my biggest fear in life, man, is that I had the ability to do something and I didn't do it.
Damn.
So that's my underdog talk piece, right? Like, I know it's probably not the interesting story. I mean, I got tons of interesting stories, but man, like, I just like, all of us should wake up and should be the underdog. And we should take some pride in that because it means we're growing.
It means we're growing. And put yourself in uncomfortable places. I've never thought about it in that way because adversity makes warriors, as I always say. And I truly believe in every word you just said. Now, I was going to ask you what your biggest tip for success in life is, but time. And the second part of being around those who are important and spending time with people who give back to you and ultimately challenging yourself is the biggest answer. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Dakota Meyer. Now, before we go, the floor is yours, sir. Where can we find your social media? And, where can we find Dash Hydrate? I'm so fascinated by Dash Hydrate. That is really changing the game, and the flavors looked absolutely top tier, Dakota. They are one of a kind.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna send you some. I want you to test it out. Shoot us an email. I'll send you some over. But yeah, so I've got Dash Hydrate. We just launched it. It is the only hydration product on the market that's built to perform, right? And it's not just for athletes. I call it's for the unconventional athletes, right? I tell you, I built it for myself because I got tired of, I don't need 1,000 milligrams of sodium every single day, right? I needed something I could drink daily. I call it our daily drinker. And so everything that we formulated in this is like it's ingredients with a purpose. And so like, it ain't just a bunch of feel. It ain't just a bunch of bullshit. It's not just a bunch of numbers on it. Like, this is for what I call the unconventional athlete. And who is that? That's the first responders out there. That's the single moms. That's all these people, it's the dads, it's the coaches, it's the teachers, it's the people that our world needs to be good, right? A teacher doesn't get an option to not go in and to not be on her game or his game. A mom and dad, they don't get the option to go in and to not be a parent today, right? Like, this is, look, go get all these other ones if you want. Have at it, right? But Dash Hydrate is for people who performing and to be able to function and show up every day. It's not an option, right? And that's what it was built for. It was built for people who don't have the option to perform, right? And so it's an awesome product. We have three flavors. You can go to dashhydration.com, check it out. Also, Own the Dash. You can go over there, check that out, right? We're all about people, doing good, right? Own the Dash is about people going out and making the world a better place. And that's ultimately what I want to do. My goal in life is to change the world. And so that's what it's about. So that's that.
And first person to buy Dash Hydrate, send me a DM. We'll get you a big goodie box out to you because, I mean, the importance of electrolytes is second to none in this society. I mean, we all need to be hydrated, getting our electrolytes in. I've learned that the hard way, and unfortunately, I will not be going out anymore without Dash Hydrate after this. That is my new go-to Underdog talk. Please go check out Dash Hydrate. And first person to get some of that, send me a DM. We'll get you a nice goodie box out. In fact, we'll add a Brian Urlacher signed autograph from who's been on the podcast, our good friend. Send it out to you as well. So please make that happen, guys. Dash Hydrate. All the links will be in the bio. Mr. Dakota Myers, thank you so much for your time. I mean, class act, one of my favorite podcasts I've ever filmed so far, and just a class act, man. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Until next time, guys, the Underdog and the Underdog out.